Hey guys, how's it going? Nicole here. Thanks for stopping by to my channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day. I hope your week is going well. I cannot believe that the last week of September is here already. I can't believe it. Like, where did time go, right? This month is almost over. That means school has been in session here in Virginia for a month now, which is crazy. I hope everyone is settling in, starting to get into a routine. I know we're starting to finally get into a little bit of ours. It's taken a little bit of time. We're still working out some kinks, but it's going great, and I'm so happy. But with it being, not only is it like the end of the month and we're wrapping up the month, getting ready to start a new month, but we're also about to start the last 90 days of the year. Can you believe it? The year, the last 90 days. I can't believe that's here already. But what does that mean? I don't know. What does it mean to you? What were you hoping to accomplish this year? What were you hoping to maybe be at? What were some goals of yours? Where were you when you started in January with resolutions or goals? Where did you want to be? I know for me, at the beginning of the year, I had just been going through a ton of change in my life, and I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to be at the end of this year. I struggled really hard sitting down and making goals. I honestly don't even know if I made legit goals, which is very unlike me. I am a solid goal setter, solid goal follower. I love making my big goals for the year, breaking them down into monthly goals, then breaking them down into weekly goals, and breaking them down into daily goals. I am like crazy with goals. I love goals. So at the beginning of this year, when I sat down to really work on my goals, I really didn't know where I wanted to be. My life was upside down, and I wasn't sure what this year was going to look like. So what I did was I just made some really basic monthly goals at first. I was able to then go through mid-year and kind of make some more goals, which were a little bit more vague, but they were more of just things that I wanted to work on myself. They weren't necessarily like, oh, I want to make sure that I pay off this credit card, or I want to make sure that I weigh this amount, or I go to the gym this many times, or yada, yada, yada. Anything. I want to buy a house this year. I knew that those things were just way too not possible for me at the time. So I made a lot of goals that were a little bit more vague. My goals that I made mid-year, see if I can find them. My goals that I made mid-year were more so, I'd pick words. I'd pick words that I wanted to work towards, whether it was perseverance, whether it was consistency, self-love. Self-care was a huge one for me because I knew I really needed to work on myself. I had healing that needed to be done. I still have healing that needs to be done. I needed to get on my own 2 feet, and I needed to really step into the person that God made me to be, and the person that I knew deep down I was. So a lot of my goals were very vague in just action steps of working towards that. Then mid-year, I was able to really kind of sit down and breathe a little bit more and come up with some more goals that were a little bit more specific, but they were still pretty vague. One was to simplify. I knew that through all the transitions we were making as a family and that I was making personally, I needed to simplify. So a lot of that had to do with simplifying my home, getting rid of stuff because stuff just builds up, getting rid of extra activities that were just not necessary, things that we just didn't need in our lives, being able to give our best yes to things and then also on the flip side, say no and be okay with it. Another one of my goals was focus. I really needed to, because I had felt so all over the place at the beginning of the year, I knew that I needed to really then figure out what my focus was, where my priorities were, not get overwhelmed by all my goals. I've said this many times before, I'm a very creative person. I have new ideas for things constantly. You give me a little shred of an idea of something and I can just dream big. And I really at this time needed to focus in and focus on the here and now and not the dreaming big. So that was one of my goals, was to really focus and be present. Another one of my goals was to rest. July, mid-year, I was coming off of a year that from the previous July where I needed to really hustle. I was working a lot. I was in school full time. I had 2 kids. There wasn't much resting going on. None, really. I was working 7 days a week and it just was what it was. I needed to do what I needed to do to survive, and that was okay. But mid-year, I realized that, okay, I need to start adding some time of rest in. And rest looks different for each of us. I had to understand that what rest looked like to some of my friends wasn't rest for me. But I needed to learn how to sit back and be still and focus on breathing sometimes. So that was another one of my goals, was to really learn to rest. Another one of my goals was consistency. I've always struggled with consistency. It goes back to maybe the creative, crazy brain. I don't know. Consistency has always been something that I've struggled with. So it's an ongoing thing for me. I'm always constantly trying to have consistency in my routines and consistency in my goals. Keeping my goals really vague and simple really helped with that consistency, because I wasn't adding a zillion action steps on how to do certain things. I was just knew that I needed to work towards doing these things. And then once I started working towards some of them, other ones started building on, and it was a little bit easier to be more consistent in some of these things versus just it being a hit or miss. Another one of my big goals was to be present, and to be present with my boys. Because it had been such a crazy year, we were all in survival mode, and I was so tired and so overwhelmed, and so I was still very numb, coming off of just the separation of my marriage, going through the divorce process. All of that made me very, very numb. And I realized that that was starting to trickle into the time that I was spending with my boys. And so I really realized that I needed to learn how to be present again with them, and how to be vulnerable again with them. And that, there was a lot of guilt that came with that. There was a lot of guilt that made me feel like I was a bad mom because of that. But I was able to work through that. God is good. His grace is amazing, and I was able to work through that. And I've really been trying to make a point of being present. So that was one of my other goals. And then my last goal that I made mid-year was discipline. It kind of goes along with the rest of them. It just, making boundaries for myself, whether they were financially, with my time, with the food I ate, was really just staying disciplined, like making a promise to myself and keeping that promise. It was knowing what I was working towards long term and working towards that daily, instead of just being like, meh, whatever, I'll just go with it. So those were some of the things that at the beginning of the year I really quite wasn't sure of, but as the year progressed, I was able to kind of hone in, and now here we are at the last 90 days of the year. Can you believe it? It's time to like reassess those goals, at least for me. A lot of them I'm just gonna keep going with because they're things that I want to keep in my life and things that I constantly want to be working on. But I like to take this time, and I'll probably use this entire week. I like to have quiet time in the morning before the crazy starts, before the boys wake up, before it's time to go to school and get ready for work and all of that. I like to have I have my quiet time with God, and then I like to have a little bit of time just with myself. And I will probably spend this time this week really focusing on what I want my last 90 days of this year to look like. So I challenge you to do the same. Figure out where you want to be at the end of the year. If you want to figure out this year or finish out this year strong, how are you going to do that? What does that look like you? What does finishing out the year strong look like? That can be a super overwhelming statement or question, however you look at it. It can be so overwhelming to be like, oh my goodness, 90 days, that's a lot of days, the end of the year, well, I want to rule the world by the end of the year. We all know that's not going to happen. So what are some simple steps, some simple things? Do you want to be at the gym 5 days a week? Do you want to eat healthy? Do you want to do a reset with your nutrition? Do you want to be cooking healthier dinner for your families? Do you want to have a family dinner 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week? Do you want to make sure you're reading to your kids at night before you go to bed? Do you want to reach a certain point in your career? Do you want, where do you want to be? What do you have, what can you be working towards these last 90 days so that you end the year strong and you start the next year strong? Because going into a new year strong is it's super encouraging, and it really helps you feel like you're already winning. So what are some simple things that you can do now to really end this year strong? Plus, there's the whole concept of it takes 21 days to create a habit. It takes 30 days to really have that habit a little bit more solid. But take 90 days. After 90 days, who knows? You could change your life in 90 days. What small habits can you start doing now in these last 90 days that are gonna change your life? Goodness, it could be as little as drinking water. It can hydrate yourself. Do you know how much being hydrated can help you? We don't realize how dehydrated we are. It could be moving your body for 30 minutes every day for the next 90 days. It could be it could be anything. What are some things that you can do in these next 90 days, some small habits that you can start with that will help you win the rest of this year and start your next year off on the right foot? I really think that if you start with small things, everyday things, you really can start and build momentum to be able to accomplish some big goals. So, happy almost end of September. I can't believe that. Fall starts, which I am so excited about. It's the beginning of autumn on Monday, which is hopefully when I'm posting this video. Take this week and really reassess your goals. Goals aren't for January 1st. Goals are for every day. Any day, you could start any day on your goals and start working towards being the best version of yourself. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your kids, you owe it to the people around you and in your life to be the best that you can be. Live your life. Live your best life, and I promise you will be more fulfilled and you will make a greater impact on those around you. So go get it. Go do it. Happy 90 days, last 90 days of 2019. You can rock it. I know you can. Have a great day. Also, make sure you subscribe, and I've got a free printable down there for you. It's going to help you figure out some small habits that you can start making to end this year strong. So, have a great day, have a great week, and I will talk to y'all soon. See ya. Hey girl, hey. I'm Nicole. Thanks for stopping by She Speaks Brave YouTube channel. I never thought there'd be a day that I would have a YouTube channel. Anyways, I created She Speaks Brave this year. I created it to inspire and encourage women to take brave action, to create and design their best life. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for coming back. I hope to see you again. We're gonna have some good times here, I promise. Life is never dull around here. So, join in the fun, join in the community, and I will see you. See you, girls.